and school.
Church and
We
school.
had school in the church.
Wow.
Mm-hmm. Open there in Cherry Tree Lane. We had one teacher.
One.
Yeah, had to teach everybody,
Wow.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, police.
I just started recording. Y'all, I just I met I met Miss Shirley Pruitt on my first run for mayor. You actually hit me up on Facebook.
Sure did.
And we've kept in contact. She is one of the oldest Black residents in Sandy Springs.
That was born and raised here.
Born and raised here. This is history.
Yes.
History. I don't even know where to start, honestly. We've had so many great conversations, and I wanted to talk about the history here, what you've seen. Because the first time you voted in the local election was when I ran.
First time.
Wow.
I never was just interested in voting, here, locally. So, but that was my first time.
So, what are your earliest memories of this area?
You mean here or Sandy?
Yeah, Sandy Springs.
Well, see, I was born and raised down Barfield Road, south of here, right off of Mount Vernon.
Yeah.
Mount Vernon Highway. And, recalling back then when I was just a little girl, I can remember we had no electricity, no running water.
Wow.
Had outhouses, the toilets, whatever you want to call them. And we had to cook on we had used wooden stoves to cook.
Yeah.
And to keep warm. I was telling some of my brothers, I said, in the wintertime, it's wonder we didn't freeze to death, but my grandmother made quilts.
Yeah. Wow.
That kept us warm because the house didn't have a sheetrock or, it just, my dad would open up cardboard boxes and cover the walls with it.
Wow.
Try to keep us warm. So
you've seen a lot.
Been here a long time. And thankful I'm still here.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
What was it like growing up here?
Well, we a lot of things, you don't miss it if you never had it. So we, couldn't go to the white schools. We were bused from Sandy Springs, which is a long way to Alpharetta. You can imagine we had to get up early.
Yeah.
We were small and had to get up early. And I started first and second grade at the church school we had over there on Mount Vernon here. And
okay, that was my fault. I just wanted to put the do not disturb on.
Okay.
But no, I'm sorry. Just
we're talking about growing up here. Like I say, we lived in DeWald Alley till I was about maybe 15. Then we moved to Roswell because I had some bad experiences down there. Maybe I talked about it in the interview that Valerie gave me. But we moved there. And I think I moved back here in Sandy Springs. Some apartments were in the back here then, back in the 80s, because my son, he was in high school. He went to North Springs.
Okay. And he was the first.
He played basketball, so he was the first Black player to play on the varsity team.
Wow.
At North Springs.
Wow.
There were other Black players, but he was the first one to start.
Yeah.
To be a starter on the varsity team.
Wow.
That was like in maybe 88 or late 80s.
Yeah.
Or whatever. But growing up down here, we did whatever there was to do. Like on birthdays, how we celebrated our birthday was after we had done all our chores, and my mom would take us where 400 is now. It was a big hill, and my mom would take us down on your birthday, and just what we would do, we would lay down and roll down the hill. That's all we could do back then.
Yeah.
But that we look forward to that, because that's all we had to do.
Now, a lot of people don't know we got a lot of new people to the area, and a lot of folks don't know what DeWald Alley was. Can you talk a little bit about that?
You mean where it was?
Where it was, what it was, the community that was there.
Yeah, they asked me last year at Juneteenth down here at the Performing Arts Center. They were asking me if I had any pictures, but I don't because we couldn't afford a camera back then.
Yeah.
So we didn't have any, we just didn't have any pictures. But it was a neighborhood right off of, Barfield, like I said, was a dirt road.
Mm-hmm.
And but to get to DeWald Alley, you would have to turn off of the dirt road until like just where your cars drive down in there. Wasn't no street, just drive down. Our address was, Barfield Road.
Yeah.
But it was about 8 houses down there, and I remember all of them. And we only had it was like my aunt lived on one side and we lived on the other side, but she didn't have any kids. But my mom had all of us. it was 8 of us.
Mm-hmm.
I had 7 brothers.
Wow.
Mm-hmm. So we were all, on one side. But when my aunt, they built a house over in, it's called Brookhaven now, but it was Linwood Park at that time.
Mm-hmm.
So they moved out. So we got the, whole side, both sides then.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And that really was a help because, I had all those brothers.
Yeah.
But my dad would plant gardens, have gardens. I remember digging up some sweet potatoes. I can remember that part. That we didn't, for eating the vegetables that he would plant. The kids, we didn't eat them. We didn't like them.
Yeah.
So we ate dry beans every night. And so, it was eventually Miss DeWald, Susie DeWald, she would come around and once a month collect the rent.
Mm-hmm.
So eventually she had a pump installed in the well.
Mm-hmm.
So that made it easier, but it still was, well water, and the well water was good water.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. So what time period was this when you were coming up here in Sandy Springs?
I was born in 41, so I was born there. So I don't know how long DeWald Alley was there total, because I don't know, but I know I was born there, and so this was like in the 40s.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. My grandfather and them, they lived off of Hurst Ferry, almost down there close. We used to go down there, and they had, I never will forget, they had roosters, and they had some mean roosters. Them roosters used to run us. But for us, when we lived, when we was down there in DeWald Alley, we had a goat, and that's how we got our exercise, because he would every evening, he would run us around and around the house.
Yeah.
But if he caught us, he wouldn't hit us. He just, but that's how we got our exercise.
So Hurst Ferry doesn't even look like it used to look back then.
No, but when I was working, I would go that way, and I know where the house, my grandfather's house was, but they lived on the property of Dr. Glenn.
Okay.
I mean, Dr. Griffith, that was his name, Dr. Griffith. And they lived on the property. And if I go there now, I would recognize what the house was, because the big tree is still there.
Yeah.
Big giant tree is still right there in the front. So that's how I know where the house was.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
What were there any particular lessons you learned just kind of coming up?
Well, I guess my parents, they were parents.
Yeah.
Which is, can't find a lot of that nowadays. For parenting, it's, out here now. But my parents were parents, and they really chastised my brothers. And they all, because back then, if you deserved it, you got some licks.
Yeah.
My brothers did. My dad didn't. He didn't. I'm the only girl, so I got away. But I didn't do anything to get punished.
Yeah.
I was a good kid. My mother said when I was young, just barely walking, so she would sit me on the trunk. They had a trunk sitting there. while she cooking or whatever. She said she would sit me on there and say I wouldn't move until she tell me to move.
Yeah.
So I was a good kid.
Yeah.
And I guess that's, it's in me. So I'm that way now.
I was trying to understand because there's this myth that black folks ain't never been up here in North Fulton, Sandy Springs area. Everybody was Atlanta, south of Atlanta. That's the myth.
Yeah, that's a myth. I was born and raised here.
Do you know what brought your parents up here? Because this was back in the 40s, huh?
Yeah, this was in the 40s. I don't know how long my grandparents had lived on Hurst Ferry. They were probably there for a long time before then.
Yeah.
I don't know. But it was in the 40s because, that's when I was born. And I was born and raised here. And I got some brothers that were older than me.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And how long? Because, you mentioned the Alpharetta School for colored girls.
It was the Alpharetta Colored School.
Well, colored school, I'm sorry.
That was the name of it. But it's Bailey Johnson now.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
And how long was that drive from here to there?
You can imagine from Sandy Springs to Alpharetta. We didn't have 400 then. So,
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I can't remember how long it took us to get there. But the school bus drivers, Mr. Spivey, they lived in DeWald Alley.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And we would come through Roswell, pick up some kids there, and go to Alpharetta. I don't recall how long it took.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
What's it been like from because there's so much history in this area, from civil rights, just slavery, everything. It's so much happened in this area that people often forget about, even like the 20 years before you were born, and they had like the race riots in Atlanta, and it's like, I guess from what you've seen within this area, the growth, because you had a front row seat to all that, folks like me that are what we call implants, I just know what I got from reading the history books, and but you're somebody that saw it, and
well, I was here doing civil rights.
Yeah.
I remember Martin Luther King and all of that, and thank God for Martin Luther King. I tell people, because he was a pastor at Ebenezer,
Mhm.
but, I used to, when Ossoff and Reverend Warnock was running in the runoff, I called people to get them to vote.
Yeah.
And, older people, I guess, when you're set in your ways, you can't change them.
Yeah.
Except, I'm older, but I'm open-minded, so I see you have to change with the world as the world changes. But I would call a lot of the older people, and they'll say, one of them told me one time, it was funny in a way. He said, well, Reverend Warnock needs to stay on down there where God put him to be at Ebenezer. He don't need to go up there in that White House. I said, let me tell you one thing. I said, Martin Luther King was a pastor there before he was, before Warnock was. I said, if he had sat down there every Sunday and preached to them same folks every Sunday, we wouldn't even be able to vote now. He got out and did something.
Yeah.
That's why we are able to vote now. So so I just stopped calling older people. I just be honest with you. I only call younger people now. Yeah, so like I say, thank God for him. That's but we've come a long way, but still have a long way to go.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
What is that? Because you had a front row to that long way. I'm coming up on the back end of that. And so what was it like seeing it? What did we're in the middle of Black History Month, and just being able to contextualize for the folks. I mean, I know we're seeing a lot politically, but I do see, for me, I get so much encouragement because where y'all started from, that starting block, it was further back than where we are. You know what I'm saying? Like that fight just to make sure that you secured the right to vote, just so many things that we already have that while we're fighting to maintain it, y'all had to fight just to get it.
Mm-hmm.
And so just what was it like just having that front row seat to that entire experience?
Well, see, I was back then, I was kind of young too,
Yeah.
and I didn't really like. I mean, a lot of young people now, they don't look at things, they don't take things serious, like But as you get older, you're supposed to get wiser,
Yeah.
and I wised up a lot. So back then, I was young, and I really didn't concentrate on it that much or
Yeah.
whatever. Maybe my parents did, but they didn't. They weren't able to get education. Education, I think, because they had to pick cotton.
Yeah.
They were in the field, so they did the best parenting that they could for us. But I just wasn't up on a lot of stuff back then because being so young.
Yeah.
But later on, like I say, as I got older, because now my kids are grown, but I still call them and tell them what's going on because a
Yeah.
lot of them don't really, have the time to even take the time to find out what's going on.
How old were you when you kind of got clued into what was going on?
Uh, Maybe I guess I was in. Um, I don't even remember because when I was in high school, um, I remember it's hard for me to remember a lot back
Yeah.
from back then because that's when um, I was the queen of Bailey Johnson in the 10th grade.
Yeah.
Usually be someone in the 12th grade, but they chose
Yeah.
me, which was an honor. But see, I can just barely remember that because
Yeah.
it's really hard. When you've been through so much through all these years,
Yeah.
it's hard to remember way back. You can remember some things, but not a lot because your brain, you can't comprehend all that in your
Yeah.
brain. You have to let some of it go where you can concentrate on today, in the future or whatever. But I can't, like I say, I can't remember a whole lot.
Yeah.
But I do remember the civil rights marches and all of that, Dr. King and all of that.
Yeah. My father-in-law, he was telling me about when they were up in North Carolina and they were marching, and he was like, man, just even the water balloons filled with like bleach and stuff. And he was like, just sitting back and hearing him tell some of the stories, it made me appreciate it because I know, we when we go out and protest, I ain't been hit with no water balloons filled with anything,
Right,
and so
right.
it just knowing that fight persisted, and so
Yep.
did they. It was just like, to me, it was just really powerful to hear
hmm
that story, and to feel it. And I think so often not knowing that history can kind of disconnect us from just so much of what's going on. It's
hmm
bananas, and
hmm
it's, I don't know, it's a lot. Um,
There's a lot that these younger people don't even know about, never heard about it.
mhm,
But they need to,
yeah,
need to know.
because but that's like, I remember when me and you first spoke on the phone for the first time. You like you went straight into the history. Like there was no hold bar. You went straight into the, this is what this is. This is what you got to be careful of. We just got to vote. But
We got to vote.
you went straight. I mean, but you laid out the full history, and it was almost as though you wanted to make sure, and this is how I took it, that I had a full understanding of what I was walking into. And I always wanted to ask you, why'd you do that? I appreciated it, but what inspired you to do
Because you're black. I mean, I don't know if you are.
that?
Yeah. I was born and raised here, and I'm in the South. I know how things are,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
when it comes to, so, but anyway, you're, you're, you're doing a good job.
I appreciate it.
You really are. You're doing a good job. And I appreciate you. And, I'm here.
Yeah.
Yeah, because we have to, together we stand, divided we fall.
Yeah.
I'm not trying
But,
to tell people.
it was, I think, you sharing all those lessons with me and the things that you've seen firsthand, the things that you've endured, why it was so important, for good leadership. And then it was like even seeing the picture the other day of all y'all at the what was the event called? The
Memory Day for Black uh, former Black queens of Black high
yeah,
schools. Hmm.
and it just reminded me of like how just even in some of what we consider the roughest parts in our history, like we still had culture, we still had celebration, you know, and it was, and then I
Hmm.
didn't even realize you were only in the 10th grade when you won it. Like,
Hmm. Yeah, I have the write up over there. They had it in the Atlanta Daily World.
what was that like back then, just winning that?
Well, and, I was honored. Because they had to vote to get you in, so
Yeah,
all of them voted for me. So that was an honor,
yeah,
you know. But I was, if I have to say so myself, I was pretty smart in school.
yeah,
Yeah, I used to teach a class sometime. The principal, the vice principal, system. His name was George Garrison.
yeah,
The principal was Mr. Johnson. So when Mr. Garrison had to go and do something, since he was the, uh, he would leave me in charge. He said, "You teach the class."
yeah,
Yeah. So anyway, they appreciated me and they voted for me, and
yeah.
I became the queen.
What was it like? Because, you know, they always talk about defining of beauty and what it's like for, you know, black girls versus white girls and fighting that Eurocentric viewpoint of, or Eurocentric definition of how beauty is defined. Um, Knowing all that, but also knowing just within our community, we always had places of, you know, we had places where we had the Jet magazines. You know, we still had our own, and still within that spectrum, we were still defining beauty. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Hmm.
what was that? Because I'm starting to get more glimpses of it now, being the father of a daughter, her being
Yeah.
7 now, seeing the way
She's
that she
7.
sees the world. I know when you met her, she was like what?
About 4. I think when you came here, when you were running, and she
No,
was
she was. It was right before she turned 4, so she was 3. She
3.
was young. Wow, I
Yes.
forgot she was that
Oh, it's been
old.
4 years.
Yeah,
Wow. Mm.
yeah,
Yeah. Kylie, is that her name?
yeah.
Yeah. Hmm.
So she, I mean, yeah, she blossomed. But I mean, it's. I don't think people understand how interconnected so much of this is, and so like, you know, when I kind of sit back and I see those things and I hear them, and it's like, you know, I know because I always felt like, you know, like I remember when I was in Tulsa, Oklahoma, we had the um, Miss Tulsa pageant, and
Hmm.
it was such a big deal, and it was almost as though, because it was the first time I was seeing it, it was almost as though we just didn't do it, when in actuality it was going on, it was happening,
Hmm.
and you partaking in that, um, and then here we are, fast forward to present day, and there being this celebration and recognition of remembering you all, like, to me that's like super powerful too, because it's like
Yes, that was an
that's the
honor.
culture of like
Hmm.
this area, and you know so much,
Hmm.
and you know, I mean, I know we on the north side, so you know, Atlanta gets so much of the shine, but it's like, no, it was happening all over, you know, and I think to me that's what I like too, is, you know, that's the perspective you bring, because most of the new folks, you know, that come in, they just see Atlanta, they don't see this
Right.
part of
Right.
Sandy Springs and Norfolk.
Hmm.
I mean, even what you were telling me about Alpharetta, I'd have never guessed that Alpharetta has school for colored children. You know what I'm saying? Like, I just,
That was
you
the
know,
name of it, Alpharetta Color School. And while my brother was there, excuse me, get this right quick.
oh no, you're fine.
They played. He played on the basketball team that won the state. They never got recognition until last year. Alpharetta
Oh
did
wow.
it. Hmm.
So this Bailey Johnson High School team.
Hmm.
Oh, at the Alpharetta City Hall. Okay. Why they ain't put on their um
they,
Alpharetta School for Colored Children?
they were the
I'm
because
just playing. I'm
it
just
was Barry
playing.
Johnson then.
I'm just playing.
I know
Oh,
it.
y'all, I'm being facetious, y'all. I'm sorry. I'm just playing.
But that was in 64 and 65 when they won it. And
Wow.
so they finally got their rings. Alpharetta presented it to them. It was not last year, the year before. in
Wow.
2023, I think it was.
That is awesome.
Hmm.
My bad. I'm putting it all over there. But yeah, that is.
Yeah, that's my brother, Melvin, right there.
Oh,
He
okay.
lived next door.
You say he
Hmm.
lived next door?
Live in the building. Yeah, next building.
And he's the Purple Heart recipient you were telling me about?
Hmm.
Man.
Yeah.
Wow.
I was going to invite him over, but he's not home. He at my other brother's house in Decatur getting a haircut.
Oh, well, we gonna talk to him. We're gonna
Oh,
talk to
okay.
Melvin too next time. We could come back, do a
Oh,
part
okay.
two.
Okay.
No, but that's wow.
Hmm.
And I mean, all this was happening before it was like Alpharetta, Milton, or was it Milton? Because they had like a Milton County before, didn't they?
They got a Milton High School up there also. Um,
But that's new though, right?
that came later.
Okay.
Yeah.
But was it because I know they had like I know they had the Milton County, and then Fulton absorbed it. Like what was? Well, I don't know.
Because they saying here something about the Alpharetta Old Milton County Historical
Yeah, Old
Society
Milton
and
County
City of Alpharetta.
Historical.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, I remember Old Milton County now.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I remember that part. That's kind of what I was asking about there.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, it's it's interesting because it's like so much of this history,
Yeah, a lot of people never knew that it was Alpharetta Color School first.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I just didn't realize y'all didn't go to school in Sandy Springs.
Well, I did to the second grade, but I told you it was at the church.
Oh, okay.
So then when we had to move the church.
Okay, my apologies. And so what were you saying?
I don't remember.
So we were talking about Alfreda what'd you call it? The color school again?
That's what Alpharetta Color School.
There we go. Alfreda Color School.
Mm-hmm.
Man.
That was it. I went okay, I was saying I went to the school in our church.
Yeah.
Until the second grade. That's when we.
And so was that church on DeWald Alley as well?
No, it was on Mount Vernon. In Mount Vernon, it's Mount Vernon Woods now. They how it's a community, it's a neighborhood now. But it was the church over there, and the rest of it was just woods back then.
Okay.
I'm assuming what happened was they bought up, bought up the property and built houses, and we had to move the church to Linwood Park. And my grandfather, my dad's dad, he's the one that helped build the church.
Wow.
Mm-hmm. And so I don't know how it happened because I was just a little girl.
Yeah.
And my parents never told me anything about how we I'm pretty sure they had to buy the property in Linwood Park for them to build a church on.
Yeah.
Because my grandparents didn't have the money to buy the property. So I'm assuming whoever bought the property, there on Mount Vernon, they gave them the money to buy, to build another church.
Yeah. Is there with all the development and everything going on right now, do you ever have any fears about history that's being missed? Because, like, had you not told me about, DeWald Alley, there was a reporter that tagged me in a post back in 2016, 2017 as well. But, like, I mean, she tagged me in the post, but I didn't even fully understand what the post was until it pinged on my Facebook, and it reminded me of the conversation you and I had. And then I think I had made a comment on Facebook, and then you were showing me some additional pictures and different things. But do you ever worry or have concerns about history that could be lost? Because it's like, again, I didn't even know what this city used to be until you told me about it. You know what I'm saying? And so
we just only became a city how many years ago? 15 years ago?
Yeah.
Was it 15?
We going on 20.
It's 20?
Go, yeah, next year will be 20, yeah.
Oh, okay. I didn't know it was that long. But we called it Sandy Springs before, because when we were living on Barfield, we had to go to school in Alpharetta. The neighborhood was called, they said Sandy Springs.
Yeah.
So, it's what I've known it to be.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So even before they got the charter.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. What do you want people to know? Like, if you could share anything with them just about Georgia, Sandy Springs, what you known, what you're seeing, what you want this lasting message to be, what would you say?
Oh, I don't know. Things are so different now. I mean, with everything that's going on, um, I don't know if you want to put politics into it or not, but that's my main concern right now.
Yeah.
Hmm.
What part?
What the new administration?
Yeah.
I put it that way. Because I did everything I could to help get to get people to vote, and people people voted, and but it didn't work out that way.
Yeah.
I'll just be honest. I think it was because of AI and you know
Yeah.
Elon Musk and money talks.
Yeah.
People can be bought. Some people will do anything for
Yeah.
money. So anyway, I tell everybody, as I've been here a long time, but even back in the civil rights days, it wasn't. This is the right now is the worst I've seen it because I
Wow.
see what's coming.
What do you see coming?
Project 2025 is already on. It's
Yeah.
already happening, and it's scary because back during the civil rights, they would get hit upside the head, dogs on them, hoses sprayed on them. But now, wow, you know,
Yeah.
guns, it's gun control. I mean, this is it's bad. It
Yeah.
really is. It's scary too because I have grandchildren. You have a daughter. I have grandchildren. I got a 9-year-old grandson. And they have to go to school,
Yeah.
and when you see where you're not, you don't feel safe. You can't concentrate.
Yeah.
Hmm. So it's really it's really bothering me.
Well, when I bring that stuff up, they say, that don't happen up here, Dante. It's in other parts of town, but that's not what's going on here. Her face say it all. But when I say it, they be like, Dante, you're doing too much. There you go, stoking the fire.
Oh
Stoking the fire.
no,
Oh,
no. You see people on something happen in a neighborhood. You see people, or they interview people on there, and somebody, things like this just don't happen in this neighborhood. I
yeah.
said, hush.
But I think it's important for people to have a context of it. And that's why I've been so appreciative that you and I have been able to connect and have these conversations because, so much of what you say, Sandy Springs was and what it is now is very, um, it reminds me a lot of where I grew up. You know what I'm saying? And it just, what I'm seeing from a national perspective is our communities have all endured the same amount of trauma. It doesn't matter
Mm-hmm.
where you are, we've all endured it. And
Mm-hmm.
so and that's why I wanted to sit down and have this conversation because it's like I feel like especially when it comes to this city, Sandy Springs, people want to remove certain topics from the community conversation
Yes.
and it's like, oh well, we never had those issues here. And I'm like, oh, you sure about that? You
Mm-hmm.
sure? You sure? And so I think it's just important
Some
for
of them
us.
just ignore certain
Yeah,
things. That's what it
yeah,
is. Mm-hmm.
yeah. Because I mean, even
If it, a lot of people, if it don't hit home, they don't, they just ignore it, just block it out or whatever,
yeah,
you know. But I know what can happen.
mm,
I've been through a lot,
yeah,
and so I know what can happen.
yeah. And I know there's a lot that you left out, but I appreciate everything that you shared because
Yeah.
I know you've carried a lot.
Well, if you
And
decide the next time, I can, because I don't know what you might want to hear or don't want to hear.
yeah, no, I just
I mean, because
this is I just wanted this to be a conversation about what you've seen in this city, what you've experienced here, because when we talk and discuss about building an inclusive place, right?
mm-hmm.
We got to be able to create room for all these stories, and
Oh yeah.
I don't see any historical markers for DeWald Alley.
Mm-hmm.
I don't see those things, and so if you don't see them and they're
Right.
not intentionally put places, it's almost as though they've been erased. Even
Right.
with the basketball championship. I mean, these guys won it in 1965,
Mm-hmm.
and it took them almost 20 years. I mean, well, I'm sorry,
No,
almost
50.
40 years.
No, they said, what was it, 50? You know, they
Let me see.
Portia Bruno had them on her show, and I think it took them
Because they won in 1965. And when did y'all get it? Because they got it in what?
last year.
Last year?
In
Oh, so
in
my bad, y'all.
2023, not
2023.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so it
50
was.
some years.
Wow.
Yep. Get recognition for winning the state because they were all black teams.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But I think, and that's another part of the conversation that folks will say is, well, that wasn't us. That was Alpharetta, not realizing those boys were bust up. You know what I'm saying?
They were bust from Sandy Springs to Alpharetta.
So, but that's the conversation. I'm just like, man, like these are the ones that we got to just have more of, and just being real about the obstacles that we faced, and not just trying to isolate certain topics because we don't feel comfortable.
Mm-hmm. Well, a lot of, I'm sure we have a lot of seniors here in Sandy Springs. I see them all the time driving. They retire, they seniors. So, like I just told you about, I'm not gonna say old folks again, but seniors, you can't change their mindset.
They're stuck, huh?
It's stuck. Can't change their mindset. So, so that's just the way it is. That's just the way people are. I am glad. I tell people, I'm glad I'm the way I am. I say I'm old, but I'm open minded. I'm open minded,
Yeah.
But some of them are just closed minded, and you can't open that mind, and so their mindset is there, and you can't change it.
Wow. Mm-hmm. With the basketball team, do you know what inspired them to recognize that?
Alpharetta.
The ball players after so many years.
I'm saying Alpharetta is the one did it. Alpharetta.
Yeah, but I didn't know if there was something that happened.
No, Alpharetta is trying to get on
the right side of history.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. Exactly. They had something else up there for the Bailey Johnson. I didn't go Thursday. It was 2 weeks ago, I think. They had some kind of something up there for them. So they're just trying to,
And I'm sorry, I got the sniffles, my allergies. They kicking my behind right now. They just
wait till the pollen starts.
No, I mean, the weather switch up and I get hit. It's like, bam.
Wow.
Yeah, I get it rough.
Yeah, I'm allergic to a lot of stuff. But
is there
I take D3. I don't know if you take it or not.
Yeah, I was late to the game this season. And so, when you start off late, you gotta catch up.
Yeah.
I know I didn't know how long you wanted to go. I think we did a good strong 45 minutes, and I mean I'm definitely down to have more conversations because I know it's so much.
I can't think of everything at one time, you know.
And you can write some things down and let me know, hey, I want to talk about X, Y, and Z because
when I think of something, I just jot it down.
Yeah.
And,
because
talk about it.
You're the walking, talking encyclopedia. You got the history I ain't got. So
yeah, you were born where in Florida?
Florida.
Oh, okay.
See. So it's different. I know about Eatonville and those things. But they try to tell me, man, Dante, you bring up these conversations about Sandy Springs, and that just didn't happen here. And I'm like, man, that's why we got to talk to.
How can they say that when they don't know? I
don't know
because they don't want it to be that way.
Yeah,
that's what it is.
But for me, it's like my neighborhood's 50-50, right? 50% us, 50% black, 50% white. I'm always talking to my daughter about this history. She ain't going out fighting anybody or doing anything, but it allows her to put things in a context because she's still confronting it. I hear the conversations her and her classmates are having, which is bananas. Because even when they was in kindergarten, they was talking about Trump. And we think the kids aren't aware, and it's
they are.
they know what's going on. They're little people.
Well, we got some smart kids.
Yeah,
it's in their DNA.
Yeah,
most of them, we have a few with a learning disability, but most of them, it's in their DNA, so they're smart, and I'm glad they are.
Yeah. Is there anything else you wanted to say?
Well, not today. Maybe, I think of something. We do this again sometimes.
Yeah. And we're going to come back, y'all.
I'd be glad to do it. Yeah.
Bam. I appreciate you.